Hey, what's up, dudes? Alright. Super late start. But let's do it. Let's go over here. We're going to go part 14 of game testing. Debugging review. 5:57, look at that. Alright. So we're gonna do same thing we did yesterday. That is continuing the review of Server Pi, and we did the same thing. That's what we did yesterday. We stopped at 267, so let's go ahead and jump over there. Extensions are good. Yeah, so we're good to go. Alright. Let's jump straight in here, dude. So we got, this is where we stopped. Next is continue line by line file review. Alright. So let's pick it up and keep going. Okay, so this is the main while loop. We made it to the main while loop. It's a big step. Refactoring the to-do, we're not going to do that. We'll do that when we're like completely done with it, right? So let me just put a note here, and we'll say don't do this until we are finished with the project completely. Yeah, because that's like kind of pointless. Alright, so let's check our comment here. It's the main game while loop, which runs over and over after initial data exchange for ID assignment, etc., until game termination. Handles data reception, sending, filtering. I mean, that's fine. That's a good comment. I can live with that. Now we have while true, main while loop. Alright, this is just a log. Process ID, client 1 or 2 int, main while loop start. And I think really like the way that I do this is I put start colon and then whatever section. So it's good to have like a what do you call it? Not convention. There's another word for it, like protocol, maybe. So let's with this add code to trigger the end of this game if the receive verification has been received after sending client final data after other client forfeit bool section has been run and that data has been sent to the client side. Implies clean exit of the started client, implies clean exit of the game process. Okay, and we'll put do this after testing game from reconnect and save system features. Yeah, so we don't want to test yet. I mean, we don't want to do that yet. We'll do that after we do the testing. All right, so below section, create A325, check to see if the other client has forfeited the game. If so, notifies the client side that they are the winner via progression other client forfeit function. Okay, so if other client forfeit bool is equal to true, it means other client forfeited the game either willfully or after 5-minute DC with no reconnect. Okay, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we trigger, other client forfeit bool gets triggered somewhere. Sign 278. Okay, so yeah, it gets triggered server side. I just wanted to make sure of that. So if that's equal to true, it means the other client forfeited the game either willfully. Okay, that's correct. When do we reset other client forfeit bool back to false? So if it's set to true, that means like basically the game is over I don't think we really need to reset it back to false. You know? I feel like resetting it to false is probably unnecessary. Yeah, I just feel like I don't think we need to do that. I think that's not... I just don't think it's necessary to do that. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's check our audio here. Resetting it to false is probably unnecessary. Yeah. It's unnecessary, dude. Okay, back to it. So, when do we reset it back to false? Yeah, we don't need to reset it back to false at all. So this is gonna go away. It's once they forfeit, we don't need to reset it. So that's fine. No point in adding code. It would just be like useless. It would be like trying to, you know, communicate with a corpse. It's like, why? Other client forfeit function passing in P1. This is from progression. So if the other client forfeited, so let's say if we're client 1, then we would say other client forfeit func passing in P1, and I'm P1 should be, let's okay, so I thought it would automatically like put it in there like it does when you do Control F for find, but apparently that's not. So it's not finding this function in progression. I thought we added it though. Did we not? Okay, we did. So the winning player is P1. Okay, so that is correct. That is the right code. Man, it's just hot, bro. Like, I turned the AC off and it just got hot up in here quick, dude. Like, major quick. I don't like the noise of it. Just like, I don't know why, it just bothers me. I don't like it. The sound of it blowing, it bothers me for some reason. Alright. So yeah, this is correct, P1, and then we say else if client is 2. If the client for function is P2, okay, correct. Moving on, so this is the filter sent receive dict function, and this is probably going to be changed because we're probably not going to have we're probably not going to use the received dictionaries at all. But we're gonna hold off on messing with this section because, well, honestly, this right here, this shouldn't exist. We shouldn't do this all the time. We already talked about this. We're gonna end up removing this. This whole section, honestly, is probably gonna get... Well, let me think about this for a second. So, if we have receive verification sent for every send, so we're going to be waiting to receive back the receive verification. Once we receive verification from the other side, we would then clear out data from the sent data storage dictionary. So that would happen at this point in time. So we'll probably leave this section and it would handle that. But it's not going to deal with this like whole time thing. And we're we're probably not going to iterate through the received data storage dictionary because, well, we don't need to store received data. Like once we got it, we're good. It's just like if we didn't get something, then it's a problem. So this section is going to be reworked here. And I'll just go ahead and add this as a to-do because I'm pretty certain we're going to rework this. So this line is going to end up getting removed. This line, well, you know, actually, this whole section it's not going to it's going to get handled inside of the associated receive section. Like when we receive the data, and didn't we say we were going to put that inside of network receive? Yeah, so whenever we receive data and we get that receive verification, that function is going to handle the clearing out of the sent data storage dictionary. So straight up, it's not even going to exist here. I think that's like pretty certain. And honestly, I think I'm just going to delete this entire section straight up. I'm just going to do it because we're not going to use it. It's dead. It's old. Sent data is going to be cleared through receive verification by network receive. Receive data storage dict is going to just go away completely. So yeah, we're going to delete it. So let's copy it though. And we're going to put it in the removed. I have a file specifically for dead code. And it's called old feature storage right here. And what we do is we go into it and we're going to paste the section that we just deleted. And of course, the indentation is butchered. There we go. So let's fill this in. We removed it from server pi. Let's capitalize it. Server pi. And we did it on 8/13/25. We removed it and replaced with code in network.receive, which clears out the proper sent data storage dictionary automatically / internally. Completely removed the received data storage dict. Yeah, because it's basically the same thing with client side. Once we receive data, it gets it gets stored independently through a different like object than the storage dictionary. So it's kind of just like it's just extra and it's not needed. So yeah. And should we comment it out? I mean, we were commenting code out, but honestly, we can just leave it uncommented out like this because it helps us to be able to like read it. You know. If we do need to come back and look at it, it's better to not mess around with like all that. Alright, moving on. So there we go. We got rid of a little section. All that makes a big difference, getting rid of clutter. So now we have the client to client receive data transfer section. And let me just go over here real quick and we make sure that we add this to things to do. So we have, let's see, modify code and server to refactor, no. Change client ID to unique client ID, add code hashtag and add client 1. There we go. Here it is. So that n dot receive includes code for receive verification sends. We should just include this receive function. This way it always happens. And I'm going to put really need to add this because I went ahead and deleted the associated filter section. We'll call it the storage dict filter section from server.py. Doesn't this mean we need to also delete the same code section from client.py? And I think it does. So I'll just go ahead and add it as a to-do as well. So we're just going to drop this down, copy this. Well, but we don't use and receive. Yeah, so that's a issue, right? So, but we don't use n.receive on which file? One of them we don't. Let's see here if we can find. And let me just put a note. We'll put a bookmark. This is where we stopped. Control-Z. Unless you Control-Alt-N. And we're going to delete these bookmarks because they always pop up and I'm tired of seeing them. Modify this pickle. Yeah, so we'll take care of that. We'll get rid of these bookmarks. I thought it was clever to add the bookmarks as well as the to-do, but it just ends up like bookmarks should be very temporary. You should really only have like 1 to 2 bookmarks. Otherwise, you know, dudeness, I'm the dude. Alright. So now, what are we doing? Right. Which one uses n receive? One of them doesn't. Let's see, n.receive. Okay, now we use con receive. That's different. That's a direct receive that doesn't use. So this doesn't use network. Yeah, and you could say like we could just create a network function and import it here, and then the function would literally only delete the received data. And I don't know, like that's how lots of people do programming. That's kind of like the preferred way, is to have one function that does like really one thing. But personally, I kind of like the idea of having one function that does like 4 to 5 things that are very closely related. It's just like different design philosophy. You know, it depends. Like if you're working on a big project with a bunch of people, yeah, you probably want to divide up your functions to be like 1 to 2 things instead of like 4 to 5 like I do. But I was just gonna like straight up add it to this receive function to where as soon as we receive the data, we unpickle it and then we go ahead and check to see if it's a receive verification type. If it is, we would filter it out of the associated dictionary. I don't know. Honestly, like, let me think about this. Should we do it through network receive, or should we have another function? The other function would only remove from the storage dictionary? Well, I'm not sure that that function should really exist here in network, because technically it's not actually like it's not really related to network, right? Receive is. So I think technically I should have this separate from n.receive or n.send, and more likely it's more proper to be inside of. I don't know about putting in it. I don't really want to create an entire file just for this, but I don't want to create the function in server and then create it again in client, because that is kind of silly. You don't really want to create the same function in two places. Usually you create it in one place and then you like import it or whatever where it needs to be. So honestly, where is it? Like, could it go in save logic? Save logic, no, it doesn't belong there, because save logic is for, well, it's for save data, right? Save logic is specifically handling saving to the database. I would say removing from the storage dictionary is not really in its realm. Let me see. Is there any... What about apply received data? Could it go there? Apply received data really just has this one huge function, which applies the received data, obviously. So could we put it here? It would be, so we could like change the name of this file to be like received data, right? And then this function pertains to the applying received data, and then this other function would pertain to handling received data to filter out from the sent data storage dictionary based on if it's a receive verification. I think that is a valid, like, I think that's valid, and that's better than creating another file. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna go down here. Let me just put this as a to-do first so I don't forget. And we're gonna say we'll do def, and what's this gonna be? We'll say filter. Is it? Are we filtering? It's not really filtering. We're removing from. So yeah, we'll just say remove from sent storage dict. And we should say sent data, because that namespace is what we use for the sent data storage dict. So it's got the name in the name, so that when we search for sent data storage dict, this function is going to pop up because it is related to it. You know what I mean? Like it handles it. So it's a good way to like highlight it whenever you're dealing with that subject, object, whatever. So let's say def remove from sent data storage dictionary. And we'll add a to-do here. Single function. Finish creating it to handle received data to be imported into both server Pi and client Pi for removing data that has been verified, received via receive verification. Via a received receive verification. Yeah. Alright. Finish creating a handle to receive data to be imported into both server and client bind for removing data that's been verified, received via received verification. And we'll just put a little note here that says replaces the filter. Actually, it's the filter storage dict sections inside of server pi and clients.py. Already removed it from server.py. And it's always good to document just heavily, dude. Just document heavy. Alright, so let's now go over to things to do, and we're going to modify that. And we don't use and receive on. So we're going to change this, because we're not going to actually do it through and receive. So let me modify this. Get rid of this line here. And we do need this in client. So let's just put add code ... and then we'll fill it out. So right here, add code in network.py, but this is actually going to be apply received data function. And let's go ahead and change that name. So that's going to be another to do. And this is just the way that I do it. We're going to say modify code in apply. And we'll copy this and paste that in. Or rather, we'll say modify file name, apply receive data function to we'll just say handle received data instead, since we added more functions to file. There we go. So that's got to happen. Change the name. Change the name of the file. Easy. And we'll just make sure we modify the name of associated imports. Right? Okay. So now we're going to add code and apply. Well, this name is going to be handle receive data. .py, and let's just put that so we know. It's very good to be thorough. It just pays off in the long run. I like to work thorough. I don't like to work fast. Add code and handle received data pi. So that end send, and this is not going to be end send. This is going to be remove from sent data storage dict, and this is going to be called function, because we'd like to put what it is at the end of the namespace. So this is just actually going to be func as well. Remove from sent data storage dict function, and it is a little lengthy, but you don't have to wonder what it does. It's very clear what it does, and that's number one. So add code and handle received data pi, so that removed from sent data storage dict function includes code for sent data storage dict depopulation. So depopulation, instead of manually running these sections, we should just include this instead of manually running these sections in server by and client by. We will use this function. There we go. Alright, let's expand that. This way what always happens is in one place and reduces clutter in the main file is true. And then we have to add code in network.py so that in receive includes code for receive verification sends. includes code for receive verification sends. So this one handles sent data storage dig depopulation. Do we need another function that wouldn't go in and receive that includes code for receive verification sends? I don't know. Should that go in and receive? I mean, that does, like, that could go in network, because that is handles sending out something. But like more properly, we would just, let me think about this. So we're going to be receiving the data. It's going to include a receive verification, or yeah, this is for sending out a subsequent receive verification. So after we receive it, we want to let them know, hey, we're sending back a receive verification after everything we receive. That, I would say surely it could go in network, because it is a send. Now, should it just be an extension of n.receive? Probably not. We should probably create another function that's called like, we should just call it receive verification send. Yeah, that's probably the preferred way. Like, professionally, that's probably what they would want me to do. So the reason for that is because you might want to use n.receive separate from doing a receive verification. You know what I mean? You just want it to do that one thing, right? So some functions, obviously, like, it's better to kind of break that rule because it makes it a lot simpler, but you're really not supposed to do big functions like that. It's kind of frowned upon. So we have encode and network twice so that n receive, and this is not going to be n receive. We're gonna we'll say 2, and this, instead of saying so that, we should just say 2, right? What is going on? Okay, there we go. Add code and network pi to create function. We'll say create function which sends out receive verification. Yeah, we'll do it like that. So instead of manually running receive verification checks, we should include this in its own function. Its own function. We'll say inside of network.py. And it could be called receive verification send, or actually, how about send receive verification. This way it always happens and is always in one location. We need that is because I went ahead and deleted storage disk from server, and this would be what was I gonna say? Shit. Oh yeah, ensure that we are actually calling this function after calling n.receive always in all locations. Low actions. If you saw how I spelled it, it's low actions. Alright, add code and network pi to create function which sends out receive verification. And then So we're gonna say add code. We'll copy all this. Sometimes it's just faster to do like that. Just copy it and then modify it. So add code in server to call the send receive verification function. Well, and it should be called send receive verification function. Funk dog. That's how we do it. So we say send receive verification func after n dot or well, we don't need to use n dot receive after receives. Instead of manually running receive verification sections. Oh, this is let's see, should we actually calling this function? Replaces previously implemented filter storage dict sections in server.py and client.py. Must be called after every receive, right? And then we need to do this for client as well. So this is going to be changed to client by default after receive true, and then must be called after every receive. Add code doesn't. This means we also need to delete the same section, right? So we're going to say this would be modify code in client.py, which modify code in client.py which deletes or we'll say to delete the filter storage dict section since being replaced. Since it is being replaced, we need to replace with the remove from sent data storage dict func. It's not needed anymore. It has already been deleted from server.py. Okay, there we go. So let's review that real quick. So we have add code in every party create function which sends out receive verification. Add code and handle receive data pi to remove from sent. Add code to create the removed from sent data storage dict function, which includes code for sent data storage dict depopulation. We can just remove that to say for sent data storage dict depopulation. Instead of manually running these sections of server and client, we will use this function. Right, this way it always happens is in one place and reduces clutter in the main files. Okay, that's fine. Then add code in every Python create function which sends out receive verification. Instead of manually running receive verification sections, we should just include this in its own function inside network by. So I think this should be modified a little bit. Add code in network to create function which sends out receive verification. be called send receive verification function. Let's copy this. Add code and server by to call, send, receive verification function. After receives, replace previously. Okay, got you. Must be called after every receive. Must be called after every receive. Got it. Add code and number to create and receive. So we have to delete the associated receive verification sections. Let's see. Modify code and client pod to delete the filter storage dict. Okay, that's different. Sections being replaced. Okay, ensure. Okay, that's a separate little thing. Let me space this out here. So we'll have this, and then because this is like a group of tasks that should go together. So add code and header receive data to remove. Modify file. There we go, right there. So that's the little group we have, and then the last thing. Wait, why did it do that? Ensure recent. That was fudged up. So we need to delete the code in server and client, which what does it do? Delete the code in server and client. So we need to delete the section that handles sending out receive verification. Right, that's it. So receive verification send section needs to be removed from client and server. Right? Receive verification send. True. Well, wait a second. Is this accurate? Add code and server pi to call send receive verification function. Replaces previously implemented filter storage dict. That's not true. That doesn't actually replace the filter storage dict. The remove from sent data storage dict replaces that. Use this function. Yeah. So this needs to be changed right here. So this is wrong. That is incorrect. So let's remove this, and it should be here. Boom. Alright. So add code and handle receive data pi to create remove from sent data storage dict function for sent data storage dict depopulation. Replaces previously implemented filter storage dict sections in server pi and client pi. Right. Okay. And then we have where it was removed from, right here, 29. So go to line 29. And this is add code and server to call send receive verification function after receives. And this is actually today's date. This is also today's date. I put the wrong date there. and this one as well. Gotta be careful. Making little mistakes here. To call, send, receive verification func after receive, and this will replace code replaces previously added code in server pi, which handled sending out receive verification. Okay. Right, and then we have add code in client pi to call, send, receive verification after receives. And this actually replaces previously added code in client, which handled sending out receive verifications. Okay. And that must be called after every receive, true. And now we need to modify code in client to delete the filter data storage dict section since it's being replaced. And that should go in a different spot, and we left out something here. It's already been deleted from server. Let's copy that. Alright, and this is gonna go, so this is handle received data to create. Okay, there we go. That should go right here. So we have this modify file name, apply receive data function to handle receive data since we added more functions, add code and handle receive data to create remove from send data storage dict function. Then we modify the code in client to delete the filter data storage dict section. Okay, so these three are all related. And then we have the other little section, which is adding code in network to create the send receive verification function, which sends out receive verification. Add code in server to call the send receive verification function, right? And then we'll say n dot receive verification function because that is what where it comes from. Must be called after every receive. And then we need to delete, remove. I guess we'll say remove code in server dot py. Which I guess we'll say more properly, modify code in server pi to remove all code which sends out receive verification. And that's because it's being replaced. Because being replaced by n dot send receive verification calls. Okay, true. Now we have to do the same thing, but that's going to be in client. And should we do that before or after we add the n.receive verification function? I guess we'll add the code in and then remove the old code after. I mean, usually you remove first and then add, but I don't want to break it, you know what I mean? Like, because that's a refactor. And we might want to do this after we finish debugging, because technically it's not broken. We didn't want to do more code changes until we I don't know. It would be a lot cleaner, so we could go ahead and maybe do it, and it might be worth it just for the sake of decluttering the file for when we're testing it to debug it, to make debugging it more efficient. It's kind of like, I don't know. Maybe. I think we should actually. I didn't want to do it, but I think we're gonna do it. Yep. Yeah, might as well, right? Might as well get it nice and clean before we do the testing. It just makes sense. Fuck it. Now, if it was adding something, that's different. But since it's mostly gonna delete code, we're gonna have a net less code and cleaner code, easier to debug code. That I approve. I can approve that. As the project manager, I approve. All right. All right. Nice and organized. There we go. And I think we did some of this, right? Let's go back over here real quick, just so I don't forget exactly where I was. And what file is this? I don't even know what file we're in right now, dog. What is this? Apply and re. Call me a what? What? What you said, bro? What you said, huh? All right. Let's close this file out. Let's go back over here. Huh? And receive. Alright, so we were. What did we do? We got sidetracked, dude, but it was a good thing. Okay, so we removed the filter dictionary section piece. Rest in peace. Now, what are we doing here? So we have the client receive data transfer section, and I think like, yeah, so let me put a little thing right here, and well, that is our bookmark, but we don't really need the bookmark. We're gonna say, I'm gonna put caution here, where we stopped line by line file review. Yeah. Alright, so that's where we stopped it. And I gotta piss real quick, so I'm like dancing over here, dog. I'm like doing the pee dance. So let's get this right here. Quick break, dude. What's her name? I forgot her name, bro. the people will frown upon you if you do it in a different type of way. But if you do it in a proper conventional protocol, that if you go by the protocol, they will praise you. Alright, let's go open this up. No, not this one. Actually, I don't like that one. Get it out of here. Peace, dude. Alright, here we go. This one, I don't know if I like that one either. Is it a banger? No. Alright, I'll leave it. I'll leave it. I'll leave it. It's a little upbeat. It's a little upbeat. It's okay. Alright. Well, I'll go ahead and say I think we should do this. Yeah, so let's go over here. So we're gonna modify code and server. No, we're not doing that first. Not doing that, not doing that. Wait. Some of this we did. Modify code and hash token to change client ID param to unique client ID. We didn't do that. But we can. Modify code and client pi to change client ID to unique client ID. Add code and hash token to add client 1 as param. Now that I thought we did. Maybe not. Add code and server to send the client 1 inside the client token payload. We didn't do that. And we actually need to do that because that's bugged. Yeah, that actually like has to be done before we can really test the game. True. Modify file name. Let's see, modify file name. Apply receive data function. File add code and receive. Delete the filter data storage since it's being replaced. So yeah, we're gonna do all these because they all like. They're all worth it, and they're not adding code. Well, it's either fixing a bug, which is this first section, or reducing the code and cleaning it up. Ensure recent change. Yeah, so let's go ahead and copy this, and we're gonna move it all. We're gonna move it all to the tippy. You already know, dude. So let's copy it. Back that thing up. And then go to current issue, and we're gonna add that up in here. Make sure our indents are right, because you know how it likes to fuck it up. And then yes. Let's collapse these. Server refactor. I'll try accept locations. Wait. Not that one. Not this one though. This one needs to go away. I don't like try except is like, man, you can add a try except anywhere and everywhere, you know? Like, I don't really know the proper way to handle those. I don't know if anyone does. Alright, so first off, which one are we going to do first? Let's go ahead and take care of the first one here. So modify code and hash token. So we're going to pause on the server line by line review. We're going to go over here and we're going to do the hash token to change the client ID param to unique client ID. So let's open that file up, dude. The hash token, there it is. And we're going to bring it over here so we can compare. Why to do that? I don't know, dude. What the fuck did I do? Alright. Bro, what am I doing? I gotta be more careful with my clicky, dude. Okay, that's what I was trying to do. Just trying to half it up. Okay, so back over here. Hash token. And client ID param in generate client token needs to be called the unique client ID. Let me make sure I got it right. Modify the generate client token function so that the namespace of the client ID param is changed to unique client ID. Alright, let's do it. So this is change that to unique client ID. Alright, and then we're going to have to change all instances of it to unique client ID, right? Make sure there's no space at the end. And then we have a function which handles generation of client token to securely send the reconnect port game ID and client ID. It handles the generation of the client token to securely send the reconnect port game ID, client ID, but it's also going to send. We'll do that separately. One thing at a time, big dude. All right. Reconnect port game ID. That's already been changed. Don't double it up. And now this is going to be unique client ID, and then unique client ID. Okay, and we got to change all this associated code now. Right. So let's say modify code in, or we'll say which calls. We'll say which calls generate client token to reflect client ID name change to unique client ID. Alright. Modify the all code which calls this function so that the namespace of the client ID parameter change to unique client ID. Client ID arg change to unique client ID. And then go back over here. Get rid of this shit. What are we doing here? Yeah, so we need to ensure that we're ensure modification of all related codes. So not necessarily just the function that calls it, but the function that, like, the code that interacts like with it and stuff. So we got to be careful here. So now we take generate client token, reconnect port game ID, unique client ID. Function to handle generation client tokens to securely send the reconnect port game ID, unique client ID to the client for whenever they DC and attempt to reconnect. So we have the payload, reconnect port game ID, unique client ID, payload, JSON dumps. That needs to be changed to pickle, right? I think. That's true. Signature HMAC new, and that's actually bugged, so we do need to do that. Yeah. So, do we have that task on this one? Yes, we'll go ahead and do that. Yeah, so let's add that. Client token payload. Shit! It's always more, dude. It's always more. It's always more. It's always more code. More. And what are we gonna do here? We're gonna do updates. Say modify the code in hash token. Hash token.py to use pickle instead of JSON in generate client token. Yeah. Pickle is superior to JSON, dude. It's unless you're dealing with like a database or whatever, you don't really need. You can use Pickle; it's faster. Alright, so first things first, modify code which calls generate client token. So let's go over there to generate client token. Let's do Control F. Oken? That ain't right. Let me try that again. There we go. Okay. Client token equals generate client token. So this needs to be changed to unique client ID. Oh, it's supposed to be int. We didn't add the int. Shit. Shit. Careful. There we go. That's done. Let's go back over here. So we have unique client ID int is equal to unique client ID int, duh. And then we have self client ID token. So client token equals generate client token. At the unique client ID int equals client token. That's correct. Okay. That makes sense. I think this code's right now. Yeah. I think, let me just scan over it real quick here. So we have threaded client takes client 1 or 2 int, and we have the individual game which calls threaded client. So individual game gets client 1 unique ID, client 2 unique ID. Threaded client takes client 1 or 2 int. And then we say if client 1 or 2 int is equal to 1, the unique client ID int is equal to client 1 unique ID, else unique client ID int is equal to client 2 unique ID. Then we we generate the client token, passing in reconnect port game ID unique client ID int, right? Because they need to have that. And then we do self client ID client token dict at unique client ID integer, and that's correct because we want to store it based on their unique ID. And then other than that, that's all we needed to do, right? Yeah, okay, cool. I feel like there's other code. Let's see. No, it's just that. It's where it's defined, and then we have the import, and then we have client token. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We did it. Alright, let's go back over here. So we modified code which calls generate client token to reflect client ID name change to unique client ID. Modify code which calls the function of the namespace client ID are exchanged to that. We modify all related code, I think. Pretty sure we did. Alright, now we can modify code in client. True that. client to change client ID to unique client ID. The namespace referring to the client ID received from the client token payload should be called unique client ID. Right, that's the bugged code. So currently the ID is treated as 1 or 2, but it's actually the unique ID. Right. So let's open up client here. True, dude. And then we're gonna go and we're looking for, well, let's look for client token because that's what we really need to start at. Alright, here we go. So this is the section. And then we have client token equals n receive con. We get the serialized client token. We insert into the database the client token, right? That's fine. Okay. Now, alright, now this needs to be changed. And there's an associated section. So this adds, this is what I was thinking of that needed to be changed. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, there's a section I already know. So this here, client ID equal, this is extracting from the payload. So this is when the client receives the payload with their unique client ID. And then what we want to do is we serialize that data. So we deconstruct the payload back to a readable format. Then we assign each of the data points to different namespaces. Then we serialize those data points again, put them in a tuple, and then we place it into the database. And the reason for that, well, is because we need that data. If we reconnect, we need the we need all that data. It's important. So we have the game ID, we have the client ID, serious client ID. And we're gonna have 2 different client IDs once we're done. We're gonna have the unique client ID, and then we're gonna have the 1 or 2 client ID, because this client ID, we treat it as if, let's see, we deserialize each object from the result dictionary. So client ID is equal to pickle loads. We deserialize it. What is this here? So this is if they're reconnecting to the game. So this is loading that ID from the database, right? And this is going to be different. This is going to have to be changed to refer to the unique client ID. And then here, this is where we are receiving the, or let's see, in work connect function, we connect, we serialize the client ID in the client token. We create the header and then we send it back to them. The serialized client ID and the client token. Okay, that's all fine. That's supposed to be the unique client ID. So when we reconnect, we're verifying that we are who we say we are through sending them the saved client ID and the client token that we got from the yeah, we got that from the dictionary because they're reconnecting. Okay. And then here, this is where it, this is where the bug starts, where we have client ID, but this should be client 1 or 2 ID int. It's not this one. It's a different. This is the unique client ID. This is the client 1 or 2. So let me add this here. To do. We'll say below section 8.13.25. Modify namespace of client ID to client 1 or 2. Client 1 or 2 ID ends. True. There, that's what we gotta do. And then over here, we have another thing that we need to do, which is to let's come up here. So modify choose pickle.json. Where does it start at? Client token, okay. Alright, right here is where it starts. So below section modify namespace of client ID to unique client ID int. And then we want to do add section which receives, what is this for? So they receive the client token. So we have to modify the code in server to send the client 1 or 2 int. Right, so that's already on our to-do. So add section, let's say add code here, which handles extraction of client 1 or 2 ID int from the payload. Yep. So there we go. And then I could change this extraction of payload. Yep, that's pretty much it. Okay, cool. We're on track here. We're gonna stop right here. Let's see. 8.13.25 stops here, and next is gonna be due immediately below next to do task. Alright, so that's 172 and hash token. Just put it here. So this is 14. It's going to be 7:19. Where we stop. So that's an hour and 19 plus 3, so that's 22. We'll just say 1.5. And we stopped at, say, stops at line number 172 and server. Nope, that's wrong. Hash token. That's the one. Alright, now let's go. Let's copy this here. Alright, now let's make sure we're at the root of the project directory, which we are. Now we're going to get branch, make sure we're on the right branch, which we are. We're going to get add to stage everything, get commit -m double quotes paste. Let's review that devlog, game testing debugging review part 14, 8/12/25. That's wrong. The date's supposed to be the 13th. Let's copy that again. And that's why we always double check. Get commit -m now. Let's review it. 5:57 to 7:19. That's 1.5 hours. That's correct. Continue debugging review in the game to test it. Specifically, we continue review of server pi. Started line 172 and hash token. And yep, that's it. All right, so let's commit. There we go. So 7 files changed, 73 insertions, 45 deletions. Now we're going to get push to push up to the remote GitHub repository. And there it goes. That's done. Then we can exit out of this. We go over here. And now we can do our local backup. So let's do programming. Projects. Change this to today, which is the 13th. Now we're going to go into here. Copy that, go into the old, go into the backup, delete the old one, paste in the new one, and now check text, devlog, go all the way to the end, 8/13/25, that's today's date. There we go. Alright, so we're done. Am I gonna do more? I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. I feel like I could, but I'm not necessarily like I might just do my class, work on the class instead. I really need to do the 3 hours though. Maybe I'll do another half hour. I'll probably eat a little snack, and we might do another 30 minutes, maybe not. I don't really feel like it. Just don't. Kind of burn out on this, but that's the way it is, right? Everyone's burnt out, so I need to just trudge through it. Anyway, good session, really good session, honestly. Great productivity. I'll say getting through this little bit we got here, these things to do. This right here is only going to take me like probably another 30 minutes. This right here, let's say probably about 30 more minutes. That's an hour. This right here is probably an hour. So we're looking at 2 hours. Yeah, and then we just have to finish the overall review of server, which stopped at what line? 284. So we still, we reviewed most of this, so it's not completely accurate, but we're still going to continue to go line by line. So we still have 400 lines left to go. Granted, half that's really done already, because it's not a linear process. We're kind of hopping here, hopping there, scrolling to the bottom, to the top, back to the top again, etc., etc. So I'll say we probably got 250 lines, so that's about 2.5 hours. So what did I say? 1, 2, 3 hours plus 2.5. So we're looking at 5.5 before we're done with the entire review of server, and then we can do the test. So anyway, see